morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the York County Community Foundation's 2026 Grant Program Information Session. I'm Michelle Mummert, Vice President of Grants and Community Engagement, and the team and I are pleased to share important details about our grant opportunities with you today. There is a chat function. We have a large audience this morning. You can put any questions you have into the chat. We'll allow some time afterwards to address your questions, or we'll follow up with you afterwards. Meanwhile, if you think of a question after the program, we do have an email, grants@yccf.org. Feel free to send us a quick email and we'll follow up with you as quickly as possible. So in this presentation, we'll be providing an overview of our grant opportunities for the coming year. We'll introduce you to our team. We'll share priorities and funding options for you. We'll step through the process for applying and managing grants. And finally, we'll recap with some changes to the program and offer some resources for guidance and funding support. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to our community engagement and grants team. We're here to help to cultivate your project ideas, assist you through the grants process, and for general questions. Our team includes myself, along with Kathy, Layla, Jason, Donise, and Courtney. While each of us hold individual responsibilities in the grant making process, we collectively share a commitment to support you and in your current grants or your potential grants. Beyond our grants team, YCCF has the strength of our entire team with diverse experience in fund management, finance, marketing, and other specialty areas. Whether you're a first-time grant applicant or you are a previous grantee, we're excited to partner with you and make York County a more vibrant community. Our primary goal in grant making at the foundation is to fuel community transformation. We really want to create opportunities for everyone to thrive today and in the future by funding high impact initiatives. What this means is we aim to be a catalyst as a funder by seeding new ideas that lead to community transformation. Oftentimes, this is achieved through collaboration of multiple community partners who all focus on a defined root cause and together really drive impact-focused efforts to shift outcomes in a favorable direction. As good stewards of community funds, our team actively seeks to grant fund project ideas that are impact-focused, measurable, and designed to address the issues and challenges in our community in a transformative way. We define our strategic focus areas by compiling information from a variety of sources like community input, data and research, assessment and planning documents, donor interest, and of course, alignment with our organization's overall strategy. When you submit a project for funding consideration, it's important to include some data that defines the community need, talk about how that aligns with our funding priorities, and how you'll close that gap. We aim to identify grant-making focus areas that advance our vision, our mission, and our values. We believe that our current grant-making strategic focus areas that you might be familiar with over the last few years are still relevant, and by continued investment in these areas, we can make progress towards advancing our mission and vision to create a community where everyone can thrive. We have several types of funds that fuel our grant making across defined priority areas. Kathy will talk briefly about each of these primary funds.
Thanks, Michelle, and hello, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Kathy Bollinger. I am the Executive Director of Embracing Aging here at the Community Foundation. I am here almost nearly 12 years, so I hope that if our paths haven't crossed by now, they soon will cross in the community. I also wanted to say thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really do appreciate all the work that you are doing to strengthen our communities, and especially during the times when resources can be stretched thin. So I'm happy to share what our grant-making funds are are for you, and let's begin with the Fund for York County. So the Fund for York County is our primary discretionary fund, and it gives us the opportunity to fuel unique and innovative projects. There are 5 current areas of this fund, and you can see them listed there: career development through transportation. And we call these 5 areas the 5 to Thrive focus. Now, it's important to remember that if you're going to be applying for a project, whether it's career development, child and youth development, health, housing, or transportation, we want to make certain that the project is one that is going to align with these areas, as well as demonstrate how your grant project will help low-income families build economic mobility. Next slide. The next fund is the Hunt Fund for Embracing Aging, and this fund focuses on grants to serve people age 50 and older. We want our focus on this fund to be housing and transportation, as well as quality of life programs. And we are also adding grants to support municipalities in age-friendly work. If you are considering applying for a fund through the Home Fund for Embracing Aging, we encourage you to look at the statewide age-friendly plan, which is Aging Our Way PA, as well as York County's age-friendly action plan, and see if you might be able to have a project that aligns with advancing those missions and that work. Next slide. Our third fund is the Racial Equity Fund, and grants from this fund are to address equity gaps for communities of color. There are 6 primary focus areas. So the project ideas, we want to have focus on education and job readiness, justice system involvement, community leadership with wealth creation, racial and cultural education, and health and wellness, all to be designed to help close the racial equity gap. We also ensure that grant making across all funds have this lens towards racial equity, diversity, and inclusion. Next slide. We have 3 different funds that promote environmental stewardship. Our Ag and Land Preservation Fund supports projects that improve farming and land preservation in the county. The Codorus Watershed Fund seeks to improve the health and vitality of the Codorus and all the sites that encircle it. The Sustainable Energy Fund helps nonprofit organizations conserve energy and reduce operating costs with a desire to fund large-scale projects to transform how we think about energy conservation as a community. Next slide. The Memorial Health Fund is a supporting organization of the Community Foundation. This board seeks to transform how the community addresses health issues by funding programs that improve physical health, mental health, and social well-being for all York County residents. And the next slide, please. And in addition to all the major funds that I just reviewed with you, we also have a variety of funds here at the York County Community Foundation that are designated by generous donors to support causes that are important to them in perpetuity. Examples of these areas of interest include disease-specific care, beautification projects, historical preservation, LGBTQ+ education and awareness, arts and culture, people and animals in need, craftsmanship, emergency services, and midwifery services. If you have a project concept and are uncertain about the availability of funds, we invite you to submit a letter of inquiry on our website, and we will investigate the available funding options for you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Denise, who will share more details on the type of grants and the application process. Denise?
Thank you, Kathy, and good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. The York County Community Foundation's Competitive Grants Program is designed to fund program expansions and new program development. We also consider select initiatives, whereas the funds could serve as a bridge to more sustainable and or larger funding sources in the long term. We will also support planning and research projects designed to better understand and address complex community issues. The 2024 annual report is a great resource to learn about projects that were recently funded. I would encourage you to follow YCCF on social media and check out recent press releases under the news section of our website for other examples. Next slide, please. In 2026, we will continue to offer project grants. These are the most common grant type of fund offers. The funding is to support a time-limited, well-defined initiatives that goes beyond an organization's regular operations. You might use this funding to pilot something new, serve a new target population in need, or purchase equipment to do your work better. Because we support many organizations in the community with the finite amount of funds, typical awards are in the range of $5,000 to $25,000. There are exceptions to this rule, and our grants team can guide you upon review of your project idea. We do plan to offer some other types of funding in 2026, which will be introduced later this spring and primarily communicated through the York County Nonprofit Collaborative. Make sure you are connected to the collaborative to receive up-to-date information about mid-year grant offerings to support other activities, such as capacity building, planning, and perhaps some hyper-focused opportunities for flexible funding for organizations addressing high priority. Next slide, please. In 2026, we'll be offering 2 project grant rounds. While grant rounds will be awarded in 2 rounds, the second will extend into early 2027 work. What this means is that you will want to plan ahead. If you have projects starting before November 2026, you will want to get your applications in for round 1. Start now to think about your 2026 needs and submit an LOI by this December 10th. If you want to submit for multiple projects, our team will align with best funding streams, but you will want to let us know the highest priority. If you have projects to fund, there are 2 rounds you should be focused on. Essentially, any project you have planned for 2026 could be considered under our first round. Next slide, please. To be eligible for grant funding, your organization must be a 501c3 organization for at least 1 year, or a government or public school entity. We do not grant funds to individuals for profit entities. Grant projects must support services made directly to our York County Community Foundation. If you are a current or previous grantee, all of your grant obligations must be up to date prior to receiving awards. This includes signed agreements and follow-up reports. Next slide, please. It is possible to have more than one active grant with York County Community Foundation, since we manage a number of diverse funds from which grants are awarded. Through our grant inquiry form, you can share your project idea and we will help match your concept to the best funding sources. That said, sometimes options are limited and you may need to defer to a future round before applying. We will let you know after reviewing your letter of inquiry if there are funding options available. Another requirement of grantees is the existence of an anti-discrimination policy. If you are uncertain about your eligibility or need guidance, let us know. We would be happy to help. Next slide, please. There are a number of financial needs that organizations may have that are not eligible for York County Communities Foundation's competitive grant program. The following would not be considered for funding. Funding requests that create or add to an endowment or help with operational budget shortfalls, debt retirement, or association dues. Sectarian religious programs, organizations with discriminatory practices, direct financial assistance to individuals, or expenses that were incurred prior to the grant approval. The grant eligibility requirements are outlined on our website for your reference. And now we will have Jason talk more about the application process.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Andrews, and I'm the Foundation's Grant Program Manager. I'll be talking to you a little bit this morning about our application process for this coming year. So once you confirm that you are eligible to apply for our grants, it's pretty easy to apply for our grant programs. The first step is to navigate to our website, yccf.org, and find the grant login button located in our top nav items. You'll see a picture there on the slide. should look exactly like that on the website. Once you click that, it will take you directly to our portal, and you will have the option of creating a new account if this is your first time applying with us, or if you do have an existing account, if you've ever applied before, you should enter a username and password and not create a new account. If you don't know, you can always reach out to our staff and we can tell you if you do have an account in the system. I'd also note, if you can, do your best to keep your profile updated. Contact information, address, location, things of that nature helps us and our team stay in contact with you about your grant and about generally things that are going on here at the foundation that we'd like to share. So the first step in our application process is to submit an LOI. This will be across all of our grant programs this year. And the first LOI for our first cycle will be due on December 10th. So we encourage you to plan ahead, start applying as soon as you can. I believe that opens on November 15th and go through that whole window till the 10th. You have that whole time to apply for the LOI stage. After December 10th, our team will review your submissions and contact you shortly after about next steps. If you are advanced to a full application, you're able to log in and out at any point to complete that application. I'd encourage you to make sure that you hit save. The system does typically autosave, but we have had issues in the past. So while you can go in and out, make sure you are saving your work through that process. And just a couple of high notes on what we encourage in our application process. We really look for quality over length. Length is important, but we really want you to speak to all of the elements of your grant program rather than just give us more information that doesn't feel pertinent. We'd also ask that you describe your budget in a way that a grant evaluator can understand and tie back to your narrative. So if there are portions in your narrative that speak to specific needs for the program, whether they be items, personnel cost, be very clear that that is also reflected in the appropriate capacity in your budget. Be clear on what you're asking the grant dollars to be paid for. And make sure to focus on the need that you are fulfilling with the program and the impact that you're looking to have. So identifying the gap, we're addressing the shortage of housing units, and we're looking to establish this many new housing units, for instance, on a housing project. We also ask that you use data to show the desired change in outcomes based on the activities you are performing under the grant program. We ask that you use SMART metrics. We define these as an acronym of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Next slide, please. It's also important to have a sustainability plan if your project is intended to continue beyond the grant period. And finally, be sure to share in your narrative how you will partner with other organizations doing similar or complementary work. It's important for a grant evaluator to know how you are leveraging available resources and not duplicating efforts to address a community need. This also helps our team plug you in with others doing complementary work to allow us to achieve greater things together and be a true partner in the work that you're doing. So here are a few more quick tips to consider before submitting your application. Always have someone review the applications and provide feedback. This can be a colleague, a friend, ideally someone who has experience at some level writing or evaluating grants. You can also view and download a copy of our application from our website at any time. We have a section with a few of our application documents, as well as some other important and helpful documents that you might need throughout the process, including a link to our budget document that we request that you use for this coming year. There are also a number of documents that you will need to include in your application. You can upload these at any time throughout the application window. Many of these are typical items that you're used to, such as your 501c3 certification, but also can be letters of collaboration if there are other entities you're collaborating with, or letters of support from any outside agencies that you'd like to include to strengthen your application. And just as a reminder, make sure to focus on those SMART outcomes I just spoke about. We ask for 2 or 3 metrics that you're going to be tracking throughout your project and the impact that you're hoping to have with those metrics, the degree of change and things of that nature. Once you submit your grant application, it will advance through our evaluation process. Our grants team previews it for eligibility and completeness to ensure that you've included everything that you need. If we identify, after reading the narrative, that it might be a fit for some of our other funding sources that you may not have intended, we will be in touch and let you know our thoughts on that and other potential avenues that might be beneficial for you. During the next phase, the application will be assigned to designated grant-making committee members, community volunteer grant readers, or internal staff, depending on what grant program your application goes to. This is determined by the funding source and possibly the dollar amount of the request. Grants that are reviewed and recommended for funding by the appropriate evaluators must then be approved by our board. We align our schedule for our board meetings with our grant windows every year, so there won't be too long of a wait, and in special circumstances, we can advance things quicker. Shortly after board approval, organizations with successful grant applications will be notified. At that time, our grants team will share any special conditions or feedback that we can pass along that you'll need to include or keep in mind while executing on your program. Grant agreements will be assigned to you to complete as soon as possible in our grant portal. We ask that you do complete this as soon as you can. Once we have a signed agreement, that is the point at which we can cut a check or send you an ACH payment. Grant payments will be issued upon receipt of that contract. And at that time, you will also be assigned any future follow-up reports that you can submit online through our grants portal as well. My colleague Layla will share some information about managing our grants.
Thank you, Jason. Hi, my name is Layla Boyce. I'm the Grants and Scholarship Program Manager. I'm going to walk through successful grant management, what that looks like. A few things will just be reiterated. Jason mentioned them prior, but just to keep a few things in mind. The first stage, we think about successful grant management in stages, and the first one is acceptance. You will officially accept the grant by signing a grant agreement, and this is done through the online grant portal. It's important that you sign that as soon as possible because, as Jason mentioned, we only process grant checks once we receive that signed agreement back. The agreement outlines the terms of the grant. Depending on the length of your project and the amount of the award, there may be an interim grant report due. There will always be a final follow-up report due. Each grant requires that at the end of the completion of the project. The second stage is the implementation stage, and during this time, we ask that you collect data, also take notes on the progress, and at this time, if applicable, will be when the interim report is due. And if there are any major changes to your project as you go throughout the project, we ask that you let us know and inform us of that. All changes must be approved by the grants team, and we're here to help and support you along the way in that. So if you do have any changes to make, please reach out to us. The third and final stage is the assessment stage. This would be when you would submit the follow-up report, and this would be where you would share your data and your outcomes, what was learned, and the impact that the project made. We're always interested in the things that you learn and how you were successful. So please share stories and photos with us so that we have the opportunity to highlight your great work with others in the community. Next slide, please. We ask for your help in sharing your great work with the community. We want others to learn about the opportunities for giving and grants supported by the foundation. So please identify York County Community Foundation as the source of financial support. Our logo you can download from our website, or you can contact Sarah Thomas, our VP of Communications, for guidance. And if you host events or other activities where we can see your work in action, please just let us know. Shoot us an email with the details, and we will try our best to have a member of our team attend. And as you manage your grant, please just remember a few tips. First, stay in touch. Don't hesitate to contact us if the project isn't going as planned. We'll work with you to submit a change request and make adjustments to the program, whether that's extending the project timeline or perhaps taking a slightly different approach than originally planned. The most important thing is that you let us know early if you think the terms of the grant may not be met. Also, please make sure, as Jason mentioned, that the contact information in the grants portal is always up to date. This way, someone from your organization will always have access to the important grant materials and updates. And make sure that your follow-up reports are submitted by the due date. This helps us track your success, and it also ensures that your organization remains eligible for future grant opportunities. Courtney, our newest team member, will share some final thoughts.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Courtney Taylor, Grants Program Officer, Community Partnership, and as Layla mentioned, the newest member of the Grants team here, and the lead contact for the York County Nonprofit Collaborative. To quickly recap, much of our grant making process is similar to this year, 2025, including our primary focus areas. A few notable changes are that the letters of inquiry have hard deadlines rather than rolling, and we're offering 2 project grant rounds versus 3. Keep an eye out for some additional grant opportunities outside of traditional project grants in late spring 2026. Our team compiled this list of resources for those of you who are seeking to improve your grant writing or apply for other funding. Keep an eye out for the November collaborative newsletter for more information on accessing York College of Pennsylvania's grant coach sessions. We hope these resources are useful. If you have other resources that you find valuable, please let us know, and we'd be happy to share with other organizations that we partner with in our community. And then if you aren't familiar with the York County Nonprofit Collaborative, I just wanted to take one moment to share. As I mentioned, I'm the lead coordinator of this initiative, which brings together organizations and leaders committed to strengthening the nonprofit sector in York County through shared learning, leadership development, grant support, and resource alignment. You can check out our website, the link's on the slide, and request a login through the contact form to access a variety of resources and events to support your organization and the community you serve. Pay attention because new things are coming out all the time from us. And I'm turning it back over to Michelle to close us out.
Thanks, Courtney. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really do appreciate your interest in our grants program. We would now open it up for a few minutes to respond to any questions that you might have entered into our chat. Again, if we don't have time to respond to all the questions, or you haven't submitted questions yet, but you think of them later, don't forget you can always reach out to us by phone or by sending an email to one of us specifically, or to grants@yccf.org. So let's take a look and see if we have any questions. Oh, I'm sorry. It says that the chat has been disabled, which is not what we want.
There are some questions, Michelle, in the question and answer box.
You can see that? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, first
I
question,
see it.
Michelle, is can the attendees today get a copy of the presentation to review?
Yes, our plan is to record the presentation and put it actually on our website. We can also send a link to the recording to everybody that actually registered. So you'll get it via email, but it'll also be available on the website.
And then we have 2 more related questions. Are all of the LOI deadlines, or are the LOI deadlines for all grants, even special interest funds? And for Memorial Health Fund, should we submit an LOI by that December 10th deadline?
Yes, the answer is yes. We've been trying to streamline our grant rounds so that all of our funds would be the due dates would be the same across all of our funds. That allows us the opportunity to work in partnership with you to bridge some funding maybe across one source and another when your project aligns. So it gives us a little more flexibility when those deadlines are aligned.
We have one last question that came in. On the eligibility slide, I didn't see that capital campaigns are not eligible through YCCF. Has this changed from prior years?
No, I would say that capital campaigns are still not eligible for project grant funding.
One more come in. If we currently have an open grant, can we still submit an LOI or apply for a grant in the upcoming round?
The answer is yes. What we would look for is, does your project start date, knowing how far in advance you'll want to plan, does the project start date for your incoming grant request, either one of two scenarios, follow the closing date of the active grant that you have, assuming that by the time your grant application is submitted, you will have submitted your follow-up report and post-grant report. So you'd be up to date. The other scenario would be if the grant that you have is with Memorial Health Fund, our team in assessing your project idea would not lead with that as the funding source. We would look at Fund for York County or one of our field of interest if it aligned with your project ideas. So the parameters are the limit is one active grant per funding source. So we have some flexibility with our multiple funds to try to align that.
I would add, if you are coming up against a tight timeline between a current active grant and wanting to apply for a new grant, you can always reach out to us and we can talk through what your best options are and how we can best align that process.
And I see the question here about if the LOI is accepted, how much time do we have after that to submit the full proposal? So our LOIs are due December 10th. And what we will do is, as we advance to the full application, the content in your LOI will be copied over into the application. So you'll have a head start on completing that application. We would commit to having a response back to you by December 20th at the latest, and then the applications would be due, I believe we have it set for mid-January. So you'll have at least 3 to 4 weeks to finish that application. And just so, you know, to give a quick update as well, we are working on ways to abbreviate the application content that you have to submit, and working along our nonprofit our nonprofit collaborative and the work that they're doing there to streamline some of our applications. So we'll have some news to report there as to how completing the application would be more abbreviated than it has been in the past. Any other questions in the Q&A? I don't see any. Well, there's one more. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone joining us today. Again, if you think of questions, reach out to us. We want to be available to you and accessible and supportive in the work that you do. We know in all the times we've been working in the nonprofit space, it's not an easy time right now for many of you in the work that you're doing, and we just so appreciate all that you do to hold up our community. So hopefully this update is valuable to you. We look forward to reviewing your project ideas and the creativity that you bring and innovation to solving our most pressing problems. And we just hope that our grants program is one effective ways for us to achieve that transformation we need in the community. And thank you to all of you who share our vision to create a vibrant York County community where everyone has unsurpassed opportunities to succeed. So thank you.
The 2024 grant nominees.
Yeah, two more questions that just came in, or a few more that came in.
Sure.
How do I get a copy of the 2024 grant nominees?
I would say that we do post them in press releases on our website. The 2024 annual report is a really good resource to see some of it doesn't reflect all of them, but it does pull out some of the major projects to look at. But if you go to the news section of our website, you'll be able to see the 2025 and the 2024 are probably archived in there as well. Or follow us on social media. You'll see some press releases coming out soon from our most recent rounds.
And lastly, are churches without determination letters eligible to apply? I think we're talking about 501c3 letters.
Yes, I believe that they are, as long as they like government, municipalities, churches, as long as you fall into that nonprofit category. Any other questions? No? All right, with that, we will end today's presentation. Again, thank you for all that you do. Reach out if you have any questions and enjoy the rest of your week.